What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome to another edition of Set Bet Spike, powered by FTN Bets, right here on Game Plus Network, as well as our FTN Network YouTube page. Chris Meaney with the Eric Young, looking fresh, little cactus shirt. I dig it. Last night, we had a pretty entertaining game, right? You get the backdoor cover if you were on the Chargers, 27-24. We had a big showing from Mike Williams, and a late touchdown from the old Canadian boy, Joshua Palmer. Any big takeaways from you from that game last night? Any surprises? There were a couple quiet performances, certainly on the side of Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like this is kind of what the Kansas City offense is going to be. It's going to be a dart throw every week. I mean, like Tyreek Hill and Kelsey, like those guys were automatic. I think you can start Kelsey every time, but I do believe teams will scheme for him. Like he's going to be the number one option for them to take away. You know, when they play any defense in the league, that's who they're going to stress most. That's what the game plan is going to be, to take away Travis Kelsey. We saw that last night with some really good coverage on him. MVS was basically just running wind sprints, kind of what he's always done. CEH, I mean, man, I don't know how you feel, but he looked really good. He had some real pop on his runs, and seemed like he's kind of like the guy that we thought he was going to be. You know, it took him a couple years to get there. Obviously, you know, during the season, we didn't know anything about this weird sickness that he had, and he had lost weight, but he looked, I mean, he's definitely not tall, but he is a thick guy, runs with power, obviously good route runner, kind of what he did at LSU, catches the ball well, runs between the tackles, decent speed. Had a couple long ones last night, man. I mean, my big takeaway is I certainly didn't reach on him, but I have him in a lot of places, and I'm very happy about that. And the San Diego, here we go again, Los Angeles Chargers. Yeah, Los Angeles Chargers defense. It looks like the real deal, man. The real deal.
It does. It's the difference for me from this team last year to this year. And you know, when we saw them last year at the very end of the season, it was a must-win game against the Raiders, and they just couldn't really get a stop. And then week one, they got plenty of stops against the Raiders, and they did a pretty good job last night, I think, against Patrick Mahomes. You know, there was a touchdown towards, I think, the third quarter that kind of got them back into the game. And that was a bit of a mishap in the secondary, but, you know, I thought Derwin James did a really good job on Travis Kelsey.
Yep.
You know, you look at the numbers from Travis Kelsey, 5 for 51. That's kind of the floor with Travis Kelsey. He had 7 targets, but, you know, Vegas was expecting a whole lot more from him. Had his receiving yard prop around 80, catch prop in some spots at 7.5. But it was that touchdown to Watson that kind of got them back into the game. I thought Mecole Hardman had a decent game, decent showing. He left for a little bit, came back. You're right about MVS. Not a whole lot going on there. He did lead everybody in terms of snaps, wide receivers, that is, on the Kansas City side of the football. He had 45 snaps. He ran 31 routes. He had 6 targets, but he did not do a whole lot with those targets. Two grabs for 13 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster was out there just as much. 3 fewer snaps, 2 fewer routes run, and 3 fewer targets. He ends up catching all 3 of his targets, but only for 10 yards. So pretty quiet. We did have the over on Mean Streets and our FTN bet tracker on CEH rushing yards. I feel like we got a little lucky. He did have a long 52-yard run towards the end of the game, but he did look really good. They went to him early. His first couple carries, I think he had 5 yards on each attempt, or 4 maybe on that second one. He was catching passes out of the backfield, which you alluded to. Only 8 carries for him and 74 yards. He did leave the game for a moment. He got stepped on, but he did come back. You know, McKinnon played 2 more snaps than him, ran just as many routes, but you know, McKinnon is going to act as that third down running back, and Pacheco just kind of gets in there, you know, here and there. And I just think last week he got a lot of carries because that game was out of hand. But yeah, I think there's not a lot of takeaways from the Kansas City side. Anything you want to say about the Chargers before we move on? I mean, Justin Herbert, I mean, what a warrior, right? He gets rocked twice. It looks like, I don't know, I'm waiting to hear if he has got fractured ribs or something. There was a play towards the end of the game where normally Herbert would have ran for the first down, I think like 2 yards, and he couldn't do it. He ran like a yard or 2 and then chucked it away. And then the next play, just like a strike down the middle of the field, like an on-point pass, and then he finds Josh Palmer in the end zone at the end of the game. Just an absolute warrior. But any Chargers, but see people complaining about Eckler and his usage, but the guy still touched the ball like 24 times and had nearly 100 total yards. I think he was used just fine.
Yeah, I saw that last night too. So I watched this game pretty late last night. Um, and look at man, you don't want Austin Eckler touching it more than he already is. He's already touching it more than you should, in my opinion. My kind of takeaway on the San Diego offensive side is Joshua Kelly looks kind of like a real running back. And I know that's crazy to say, but they draft Isaiah Spiller and everyone's talking about him. I'm not, but everybody was, and how great he's going to be in this offense and how he's going to be the kind of ball carrier, and him and Eckler are going to split. I never believed that for a second. I thought there would be a competition between Justin Jackson and him, but it looks like Kelly's the guy, and he looked pretty decent. Caught a couple balls. When he ran it, he ran with power, ran with decisiveness, and that's what they want to see. This game could have gone either way. I think, if Herbert doesn't get banged up like that, the Chargers could have easily won this game. Really fun game. Really good back coaching on both sides. I could watch those two teams play every day, man. It was a fun game.
We'll get to see him at least once more this season. All right, let's turn our attention away from that game and get into week 2. We have a board here with just some lines, updated lines, and some odds and things like that. We have the Prop Shop Parlay Calculator live all the time over at ftnbets.com. Link inside the description of this video if you're watching on Game Plus Network. Save yourself a lot of cash if you want to make a couple wagers. I think the Prop Shop is very valuable. The Parlay Calculator, you're not going to see a lot of difference between books in terms of spreads and odds and money line, things like that. But there certainly are some differences. But I think where the Prop Shop is valuable, what you and I are going to talk about, some props that we like in games and some touchdowns and things like that. So let's just start up at the top with the Jets and the Cleveland Browns. We saw Joe Flacco throw the ball quite a bit, over 50 times in the first game against Baltimore. And now they check in, of course, as basically touchdown dogs here. With Cleveland last week, I don't know, man, kind of surprising, I guess, the way that the usage went to Donovan Peoples-Jones. We didn't really see a whole lot from Njoku. We didn't see a whole lot from Amari Cooper. I think this is going to be a slow-paced game. Not a lot of scoring. I would lean with the under. I'm seeing the total at 39.5. I still would lean with the under. I think Nick Chubb's going to touch the ball 20-plus times on the ground, flirt with that number. I like the over on his rushing yard prop at 82.5. And I like a couple Jets or one in particular, Breece Hall. I like Breece Hall. Over 2.5 grabs is plus money. His receiving yard prop is at 14.5. He had like 6 catches in week 1. He had 9 targets. I would expect him to be playing from behind. A little bit of a slower pace, I think, maybe this game. I don't know if they'll have, that many possessions, the Jets, but I think that Flacco will continue to target his running backs. What are you on in this game? Anything that you like? I mean, and it's pretty chalky. I think Chubb finds the end zone.
I mean, this is a quarterback duel for the ages. I mean, Jacoby Brissett and Joe Flacco throwing the ball 50 times. Please, God, let's not do that again. What I understand, I think the New York Jets are going to be competitive all year. I just believe that in my heart. I believe the personnel that they have, the improvements that they've made. The coach is great. I said this all offseason. Everyone's talking about Breece Hall. He's the rookie, and he was drafted, and he's going to be the guy. So look, this is Michael Carter's backfield. He was very, very good last year on a brutal team with three different quarterbacks. This is Michael Carter's backfield. Breece Hall is going to play, of course, because of the draft capital they spend. He caught a bunch of balls when they were in hurry up near the end of the game, but that's not going to happen every game. I like Michael Carter to score a touchdown. DraftKings has got him at plus 140. If you can find that somewhere better, I like him to score. And I like David Njoku to bounce back and score a touchdown here. Brissett loves to throw to the tight end. I know that he was out there a lot, but wasn't really targeted a ton. But I think, you follow the money. I've said that before on the show, and they paid him a bunch. He's their guy. Harrison Bryant is there as well. And I think it is probably a decent tight end as well. But I think Njoku bounces back, and I think he gets in the end zone here. So that'd be my 2 picks. Yes, I have transitioned from betting on goal scoring to betting on people to score touchdowns because I am a lunatic and love to suffer. So if I would have been to pick 2 guys, it's going to be Carter. It's going to be Njoku.
I like it. Yeah. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. I don't think we'll see a lot of touchdowns. Chubb's minus 160. That's not going to do you any good. Yeah, you got Carter at plus 140. I think Breece Hall is interesting to me at plus 360. I really do. If I'm taking a stab somewhere, that's probably where I'm taking it. It was, almost a split backfield, 50 snaps for Carter, 38 for Breece Hall. They both ran a similar amount of routes, and they both had 9 targets. We had Carter with 7 grabs and 40 receiving yards, and for Breece Hall, he had 9 targets, 6 grabs, and 38 receiving yards. He did have a fumble in there. I see some guys in the house. Just wanted to say what up to everybody here. Albert, good morning. Daily Handle, good morning to you. George Bats, must be for your San Diego chatter. On fire last night, 9-1. I guess we could kind of take 9-1. One was a big same game parlay with like juiced odds and lowered. I can't really take credit for it, but we did get 3 for 4 on the single props there. Appreciate you, Daily Handle. He's on the Colts at -4. I like that pick as well. Adam Renkamp in the house. Our guy says, "What's up? What is up, Mr. Renkamp?" So let's get going here and get into the next game. Where should we go? We should go Baltimore. Try to go in order of like timing here of some of the games, or this. You can help. Yeah, this is cool, Tyler. Let's go Bucks and Saints. So the Bucks check in at -2.5 favorites. Today's a big day for fantasy, right? Because we need to know practice reports with certain guys. Absolutely, right? There's no question. Julio Jones, Russell Gage. We know that Chris Godwin's not going to be there. I think Leonard Fournette popped up with a hammy this week. And we know that the Saints have given Tom Brady fits, certainly in the regular season, since he's been a member of the Bucks over the past couple of seasons. We've seen lots of picks, interceptions. I'm kind of intrigued with Tom Brady's interception prop. I'm kind of leaning the under on his passing yard prop. And on the Saints side of things, Alvin Kamara. We don't know if this guy's going to play here today. If Kamara doesn't play, we could see a lot of usage from Mark Ingram. Are you getting crazy with Taysom Hill? Are you doing touchdown props with Taysom Hill? I mean, this guy's always going to be a threat inside the red zone to steal carries. Like we saw week 1.
Yep.
Oh man, it's going to tick me off all year, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think this is another case, and like you follow the money and follow the personnel. Is I get Sean Payton's out there, and that was like his kind of pet project. But the coaching staff, a lot of the personnel is the same. Tyson Hill is a proven baller, a proven touchdown guy. And what's interesting now is like he can kind of line up. I mean, he's done this before, but he can line up everywhere, right? He could line up in the Wildcat. He could line up as a halfback. He could line up as a quarterback in RPO. He can line up as a tight end. He can line up in the slot. So, like, I mean, really, is there someone better in the NFL to pick to score a touchdown? I mean,
yes, but I get what you're saying.
Not odds wise.
Yeah, I know. And we don't even see anything actually for him right now because everything is off the book. DraftKings, prop shop. There's so much uncertainty, I think, with this game from an injury standpoint. But is that the guy you'd be interested in if there's no Alvin Kamara? Or
like I'm saying, like I'm looking on DraftKings now and they don't have that game up at all.
No. Yeah.
But I would imagine that he's over plus 300 to score a touchdown. And, you know, a couple of bucks on that could really pay off. I'm not saying he's the most likely. I'm just saying that he's a very good bet to score a touchdown.
Yeah, it bothers me.
That's fair.
I'd like to see them. Not that you call that at all. That doesn't bother me at all. I can see him scoring a touchdown for sure. But it bothers me that maybe he would get used a little bit more in the red zone than Alvin Kamara. But he is a weapon, so there's really not a whole lot to kind of mention in this game. Fournette's going to be juiced. We could see maybe Fournette, you know, a little bit. Potentially limited, maybe a pitch count. Rashad White looked pretty good as a rookie. He's a really good running back. Yeah, I think, you know, this time next year
it's just a matter of time there. I think
big time player. Yeah, Russell Gage. You know, if Julio is going to be trendy, Mike Evans is going to be chalky, but Marshawn Lattimore's had his way with Mike Evans. He's had some really, really big moments against Mike Evans. Evans got him, I think, the last time that they played, but he's kind of held him in check. So I'd be looking at other pieces in this game. You know, if Russell Gage does play. Brashad Perriman's like a dart throw, you know, especially if Julio and Gage aren't able to go and things like that. On the Saints side of thing, Michael Thomas was certainly a player last week. He had 2 touchdowns. He had a couple of red zone targets. We had Jarvis Landry, who had a big performance inside the slot. Chris Olave didn't do a whole lot, but he did get a 2-point conversion. So something to keep in mind as well, that maybe he is a bit of a dart throw as a touchdown play. Do you like the Saints? The Saints are kind of getting a lot of money. People are all over the Saints here to win this game or at least cover. It's 2.5. I think if you like the Bucks, you just take them on the spread as opposed to the -150 that you're going to get on the money line.
Yeah, I really like the Saints. I hope Jameis Winston never talks again. I mean, he's just taking himself a hole. He's brutal at it, man. But I'll say this. I mean, as a football player, just crazy, massive improvements. Like last year, was super conservative, not the guy that we knew from Tampa Bay, just kind of whipping it all over with 30-something interceptions or whatever it was. But he's turned into a very good quarterback. And when he's on the field, he's motivating, and the team, man, they have a very good offense. They got so many weapons at every position. And I think sneakily, like, just kind of like could be this offensive juggernaut that nobody was really talking about in the offseason. Like, they've got 3 very good receivers. They've got a couple guys at tight end that are very good players, and Troutman. They got Hill, that just kind of, this utility guy that can, when he's on the field, you have to pay attention, like whether you like him to come out there or not. The reality is, in real football, he is just a massive commodity. Kamara, Ingram, I think they just picked up, what's his name? He's played there before. Oh, man. Latavius Murray.
Okay, yeah.
I think they just signed him. I think I was reading that. Maybe I dreamt that. I don't know. But I mean,
I don't know. I did not see that, but that would make sense. I mean, he's familiar.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, they did. They signed him the practice squad. So that was a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I mean, well, again, today's a massive day for some of these players. There's a lot of big name players who have missed practice over the past couple of days. So today's a big one. Ray Camp's in the house with Brady interceptions. Yeah, I was looking to. It's a little juice. I do believe he'll probably throw a pick. This isn't the same Saints defense. I'm seeing people talk about that. Like the Saints, they have Brady's number in the regular season. They're going to get to him. It's not the same defense. It's still a decent defense, but it isn't the same. But minus 130. Yeah, it's okay. Brady, 8 interceptions the last 4 games. Yeah, I mean, he had 3 in his very first game against the Saints, and Bruce Arians called him out, and it was taking some shots at him. It took some time, of course, for him to pick up the playbook and understand it, even though it is Tom Brady. Let's move on from this game. Let's get to some other games where we know guys are playing for sure. Panthers and Giants. Giants 2-point favorites here. Kadarius Toney playing with the 3rd string offense, so I don't think I'd get involved with him. You got Carolina. Robbie Anderson had a big game. He is the touchdown guy inside this offense. I mean, DJ Moore is 5th in the NFL in yards since like 2019, but he only has a handful of touchdowns. He's not a big deep threat guy. He's not a big body inside the red zone. Robbie Anderson is targeted deep down the field. He checked in, inside the top 15 over at FTN Daily at Free Tool Air Yards. A-Dot was healthy. Baker hooked up with him. And Baker had a rushing touchdown. I don't know how often that's going to continue, but Robbie's probably the guy that I would look at inside the Carolina offense here. Is there anything that intrigues your interest in terms of touchdowns or players that you think could show up in this game? Your boy Saquon had a fantastic game. I mean, he's going to be chalky for touchdowns. But my goodness, he's probably in for another really strong game here.
I mean, most likely to score a touchdown again, but I'm seeing him at negative 150. Like, I guess in some kind of a freaky parlay with other guys that are pretty sure to score could be a thing that you do. I like Sterling Shepard here. Look pretty good. We know when he's on, there is a connection between him and Daniel Jones, as much as a connection can be. Daniel Jones is, in my opinion, I just don't think he's a starting quarterback in the NFL, and they need to really move on. But he did enough. I think he might have the most underrated running. He's got wheels, man. He's one of those guys. He doesn't look like he should even be athletic, but he's really athletic and can run. But I think the only thing I would lean is Sterling Shepard plus 225 to score a touchdown. That would be my choice.
Yeah, he played in a limited role last time out, but he was he looked good, right? He's another guy coming off an Achilles injury. Daniel Jones really likes him, targeted him quite a bit. Yeah, I'm seeing plus 300 for him. Again, Prop Shop is your friend. You can use that and get the best possible odds. But yeah, DK's got plus 225 there. So a pretty good, a pick. And then Robbie Anderson's plus 195 over at DK. So Robbie Anderson played the exact same amount of routes and ran the exact same amount of routes, and played the exact same amount of snaps as DJ Moore. And he did have more targets than him. So he's the guy that I would look at here in this game. This is another low scoring game. I don't feel like we'll see a ton of offense. CMC was just okay. I mean, it was just his first game, but I don't know. I have Saquon ranked ahead of CMC this week. You're playing both. You have both guys. You're fine. But I think that Saquon will have the better game here. It's kind of it from the – I don't think there's really anything else I really want to get to in this game. No. I think Sterling Shepard's a pretty good dart thrower. Who do you think wins?
I think Carolina is going to win.
Carolina?
I mean, ballsy move, and they definitely beat the Titans. That game could have went either way. But I think Baker's going to come out and play. I mean, he didn't play great in the second half, but played way better than he did in the first half. Hopefully now he's got that game behind him, the Cleveland revenge game, and I just think he wanted to do too much. That's just not who he is as a player. Hopefully he can distribute and put it in the hands of DJ Moore and, maybe, test the stretch the defense with Robbie Anderson. And I like you said, I think the CMC just needs to touch the ball more. I get you don't want him to get hurt, but I mean, you got to win football games, guys.
Yeah, and I'm sure he will. Plus 300 for Shepard over at FanDuel. He's plus money for 5 grabs as well. I kind of stay away from the 5 grabs. He did play 43 snaps, which is just 3 behind Kenny Golladay. Golladay is just out there. I don't know what the heck.
For no
that
reason.
Guy's done. He is getting paid.
He's a corpse.
To be on the football field. Yeah, 2 targets for
him.
I mean,
that's the narrative, right? You follow the money. They're paying him a ton, and he's just going to play. That's it. I mean, you're telling me there's not a better option? Kadarius Toney's not a better option?
I think it'll take some time. He seems to be in the doghouse. He was hurt through a camp. Yeah, it's just it's a very risky play. If you're taking a dart throw here on this game, you look for a tight end. I don't know how to do Tremble. Daniel Bellinger's a guy that I think for the Giants I think he could carve a role this year over time. He's a young, obviously rookie tight end, but he was right there in terms of snaps and running routes too, 32 and 12 respectively. Okay, let's move on. What do we got next, Tyler? What else is on the board here? Pats and Steelers. This is another ugly game. We're not starting strong here. This is a game that I don't think we'll see a lot of offense from either. I just don't feel I'm just not in on either of these teams to score a lot of points. I suppose maybe Ramondre Stevenson will have more usage out of the backfield catching balls when Ty Montgomery is on the IR, but didn't like what I saw from New England. Pittsburgh's defense played really good. No TJ Watt in this game. Mitch Trubisky did okay. He really targeted his number one guy in Deontay Johnson. Claypool got a lot of looks, some end arounds and things like that. Najee Harris is not 100%. This game is just not that appealing for me. And we have like so many other games to try to call some touchdowns, but I'll let you take it away if there's something that you like.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. And I pushed back on it. New England's offense looked rotten. And
brutal.
Now Mac Jones has got this back thing. That is not going to improve the situation. What I think will happen is they're just going to want to run the ball a ton. Ty Montgomery was obviously a massive part of what they wanted to do for whatever reason. But Ramondre Stevenson is going to touch the ball, I think, probably at least 10 more times this week. And I mean, that's my number one pick to score a touchdown. He's a better runner, I think, than Harris. I think he has more explosion. I think he has more runs with more power. I think he has better vision, and he's a way better ball catcher than Harris. He's just a better football player, and I think over time, Belichick doesn't care. He has loyalty to nobody. He wants to win football games, and Ramondre Stevenson is going to play more and more. I think he takes a big step forward this week because of the Montgomery injury. So that would be my guy from the New England Patriots to score a touchdown. And like you said, with Claypool, there was a concerted effort to get the ball in this guy's hands. He's a freak, right? Like a freak athlete with these end arounds and stuff. And I think every week, I don't think Deontay Johnson's the guy. That's going to be the volume guy. That's the number one option. That's, there's no mistaking that. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are saying, look, man, Claypool has got to touch the ball a certain amount of times, and we've got to scheme up ways to get it in his hands and get him moving at top speed. So that's a guy I would take to score for Pittsburgh. He's at plus 230, I found.
Yeah, FanDuel's got him at plus 260. I like it too. I had it written down. We're on the same page. It's like kind of the one
Look
guy.
At us.
I know. Look at us. Team effort here. Adam Reckham actually mentioned Tommy Tremble. I kind of just tossed him out. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I suppose. I could see it in the red zone.
Baker loves throwing to the tight end, right? Like he's always done that. So yeah, I mean, there's
better
definitely
spots this week.
But they've got Ian Thomas there too, and he plays a ton. So it is a dart throw, but
yeah. G-Dub in the house, touchdown king, some fresh faces. Let me hear the touchdown scores. He's probably got a few touchdown scores for you as well this weekend. What else we got? We got George in the house and Adam. And you guys are having a nice, slow, friendly conversation. Troy's in the house, our guy. He says he was forced to start McKinnon because of RB injuries. He got lucky. He did have a receiving touchdown. He's like a sneaky little guy to get in on, right? Because he's going to get catches. They do like him. He's the veteran back, and he does have that third down role there. And, Mahomes, you see it a lot. We've seen it quite a bit actually through the first 2 weeks of the season is that shovel pass, right? They tried it again last night with Travis Kelce. He kind of rolls out and, you can't get him. And you saw the play on McKinnon was just a beautiful toss and you got the sidearm. But that you see that all the time with Mahomes. He's rolling out and things like that. And DJ Osborne in the house. Hey, guys, I need a tight end to sub for Travis Kelce. Probably missed out on the number one guy that I had to replace him last night in Gerald Everett. I do like Robert Tonyan as a guy that maybe you could roll out this week at the tight end position. I don't think you can really get involved with Irv Smith or Cole Kmet just yet. I still believe in those two guys, but I don't think you want to take another zero. I would lean that way if you could get him a DJ Osborne, maybe a Robert Tonyan, see if he's available. And then if he's not, we can find another option there for you. All right, next game on the board. What do we got here? Okay, so a little bit more offense, I think, in this one. We have the Colts at -4. Some books have them at -3. I actually like them to bounce back here. I just feel last week was, a crapshoot, of course. It was Matt Ryan's first game. He looked awful, to be honest. I mean, he put the ball on the ground. He threw a pick. But credit to him and the Colts for finding a way to get back into that football game. Jonathan Taylor is going to continue to touch the ball and touch the ball and touch the ball. There's really no value for him to take his touchdowns. Now, I think there is something to be said, and I did this a lot last year with the chalky guys in like 3-leg parlays. I did Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor, I had a lot of James Conner, I had a lot of Austin Eckler. All year I kind of rode these guys, and I think what you said earlier, who was it with Chubb? Chubb's a little juiced. You could do a Chubb, you could do a Taylor, you can do a Michael Pittman if this guy suits up this weekend, something to keep an eye. You can do something like that. You don't want to take them as singles. We want to give some long shots here, some plus money stuff, but I think Taylor is, I don't want to say that he's a lock to score, but my goodness, in projections, I got him
savage,
pretty close to scoring a touchdown here in this competition. So that's kind of where I'm going. But man, I really like what I saw from Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk, a lot of targets in week 1. He was inside the top 10 in air yards. No quarterback threw more through the air last week than Trevor Lawrence. He was number 1 in air yards as well. This is a team that doesn't have a great defense. I'm looking at him. I'm looking at Travis Etienne because I know James Robinson came in and he looked good and he had a receiving touchdown. But Etienne, when he touched the ball, he was making things happen. He had a couple bad drops. One was a target inside the end zone where Trevor Lawrence overthrew him. But then there was another one, a red zone target that Lawrence gave him, and he dropped it. And if he didn't, I think he would have took it to the house. So those are two guys on Jacksonville that I'm taking a look at. And if Pittman plays, I'm going to be in on his receiving yards. I just think that this guy's going to be like a walking 80, 90 receiving yard guy week in and week out.
Yeah, I love the Christian Kirk call. And again, this is the narrative. You follow the money, guys. I mean, you can be as mad or think it's as funny as you want, all the money that Jacksonville paid him. But what I know is when the guy gets paid, that means that this team believes in him. They don't just hand this money out for free. Whether they're right or wrong, it doesn't matter. What's going to happen is he's going to be the number 1 receiver. We heard it, the drum beats all through training camp, and there was a connection between him and Lawrence. I said it all off season. I believe Lawrence takes the biggest step forward. That has yet to happen, but he was definitely much improved. He looked like a much better player, a much more confident player than he did last year, and I think he will get better each and every week. Love him to score. Love James Robinson to score. Crazy with the Achilles, and speed was never his thing, but he looked pretty good last week, and kind of a bit of a reach, but I don't think any of the other receivers other than Michael Pittman installed a lot of confidence in Matt Ryan. But what I know is Matt Ryan loves to target the tight end. Mo Alley Cox is the biggest human being on earth, and he's at plus 340 to score a touchdown. I mean, anytime a tight end on a team that only has like one sure target and Michael Pittman, I love the tight end. And I mean, it's just the reality is they score touchdowns, and 3-4 for Mo Alley Cox. I hammer it. I mean, I think that will be my big bet of the day.
He was high with Granson in terms of snaps, 45 each. Granson actually had more targets, 6, but you're right about Mo Alley Cox. I mean, the guy's just a freak inside the end zone. He is a mismatch, that's for sure. I will say Alec Pierce is not someone I don't, he's probably dropped all over the place, a late dart throw. His 2 targets came inside the end zone. One was a really bad drop. And I like him overall as a player. We'll see moving forward if Matt Ryan does kind of look his way, if he's a little bit more involved inside the red zone. I think, tight ends is, Adam's saying it too. I was going to mention him. the money is with these tight ends, right? Backup tight ends are scoring touchdowns to start the season. These tight ends are utilized inside the red zone, right? It seems like sometimes they don't even really get targets until they get inside the red zone. Evan Ingram had a pretty decent game. He did last week. He caught, I think, all 4 of his targets. He's plus 360 to score a touchdown in this game. I think it's, somebody to look at, but I like Kirk. He's plus 200. His receiving yards, 57.5, double-digit targets from him in week 1. I think he's certainly going to be available. I wouldn't do Cox to stream DJ Osborne. If you can let us know the top 4 tight ends that are available in your league, I'd go another way than Mo Alley Cox. Is Tanya not available to you? I think I'd go Tanya. Camp says easiest bet of the week this week, but need less juice is Kirk, 4.5 receptions, crazy volume against a team that plays mostly zone. Yeah, I just looked at his receiving yards and 57.5. I just jumped all over that. I didn't see what his catch prop 4.5 is, minus 160. That'll probably move to 5.5 plus money, and then I'd look to get involved there as well. Pittman, big day for him. Michael Pittman, practice. We need to see if he gets on the field, but I got to see. I think I saw last night it was like 67. I think I put it in the tracker a couple days ago. 61.5 receiving yards, minus 115. Like I think he hits that. No Tunyon. Who else? Let us know who else is available there for you. Okay, next game. Let's continue to go on here. Tyler, what do you got for us? Oh, watch this one's got scoring all over it. I think we get a total of like 48.5. Lions defense has so many holes. Their offense scored a lot of points last week. Washington, Carson Wentz, right? He looked pretty good. He had a couple moments where he looked like the old Carson Wentz, but he hooked up with Jahan Dotson a couple times. His boy Terry McLaurin scored a touchdown. They had Antonio Gibson catching balls out of the backfield. Curtis Samuel was a player, and there's a lot to like on this Detroit side. I think this is gonna be a high scoring game, maybe one of the highest scoring games of the week.
Yeah, me too. I think McLaurin scores a touchdown here. I believe, I know a lot of people are jumping on Curtis Samuel. I think he's got to show me that again, for me to really, really trust him. I think, in deep leagues, like you pick him up and put him on your bench or something like that, but I don't know if about playing him. St. Brown to score 140, and DJ Shark was, he was the real deal again. He was a great receiver when he played in Jacksonville before he got hurt. When he came in the NFL, surprised a bunch of people, me included. He's tall, he's fast, he's got great hands. The ton of stuff from the drum beats during the offseason was Jared Goff loves throwing to DJ Shark, and I think that chemistry showed last week, and I think it will get better. I love him to score a touchdown here too.
I like him as well. He's plus 230. He was top 5 in air yards for week 1. He was getting targeted deep down the field. Yeah, Amon-Ra is the guy I think that they'll look at inside the red zone. Goff, if it's not Jamal Williams in the goal line, and Swift's another guy we got to keep an eye on here today if he's going to play, because if he doesn't play, Jamal Williams will be. I don't think he'll be too juiced for a touchdown. See if we can get him right now. It's a risky play right now. Oh wow, he is a little bit juiced. I didn't think he'd be that juice. He's plus 105. Interesting. I'm not into that. Wow, not a lot of options there for you, DJ. I think I would go with Conklin. I think I go with him. A lot of targets. He did get a lot of targets. OJ Howard, you're really just looking for a touchdown. He hardly played. He had 2 targets.
That's not happening. That's not happening again ever.
I don't think so either. I think it's a bit of a trap. You're looking for touchdowns. You're looking for upside. I don't hate it, but it does seem like a trap. I do agree with Adam there. Conklin was my first initial thought process. He was on the field more, getting more targets. I think I would go that way, DJ. Adam says his games stay away from. Can't bet Detroit is a favorite. Can't bet Wentz on the road. I like the over. I think we'll see 50 points. I think we'll see both teams probably score 3 touchdowns, and we can get there. If I had to pick a side, I think I would lean with Washington on the road. Overall, I think that they do have a better team. But yeah, it's Wentz versus Goff, right? Former 1st and 2nd overall picks going toe-to-toe against each other here. But I like what you said about Curtis Samuel, who's actually 3rd on the team in targets and routes run, not targets, routes run and snaps. He did get a lot of targets, but I think if you're looking for touchdowns, it's those alpha wide receivers and Dotson and Terry McLaurin. I do really like those calls. But yeah, DJ Chark was top 5 in air yards for week 1. Deep threat guy. I am in on him at plus 260. Anything else? I think that's it.
That's it.
I think we'll see Brian Robinson come back pretty soon. I think I saw him on the field the other day.
Good for him, man. That's a feel-good story. The guy that everybody likes apparently is a good dude. And to see him on the field doing those crazy shuttle drills and stuff with bullet holes in his leg these guys aren't human beings, man.
Freaks. All right, next one on the board. Let's see if we can get through these. We got about 10 minutes left. Seahawks and 49ers. This is just way too high, -9 for me. I didn't see it. I know it was a random weather game, and it was very, very sloppy. And I understand that it could be a trap for Seattle. They just played their quote-unquote Super Bowl game week 1 at home against Russell Wilson. They won. They're certainly feeling themselves. I think we'll see a bounce back performance from the Broncos, and I think we'll see the Seahawks come back down to earth. But this is a divisional game. These teams have always played tight no matter who the quarterback is under center. Of course, Russell Wilson to Geno is a big-time difference, and even Jimmy Garoppolo to Trey Lance is a big-time difference. But a division game at -9, Seahawks actually one of my favorite picks. I think that they cover this game, and we could see Ken Walker make his NFL debut in this game as well. There are a couple things that I like. Trey Lance over 8.5 rushing attempts at plus money. He had 13 rushing attempts last week. Jeff Wilson is in there going to steal some. I know that Deebo Samuel is going to probably get a few carries as well with no Elijah Mitchell. But one thing that we've seen from Trey Lance in his 3 starts is he is going to run the ball. 130 rushing yards last year in 2 starts. He had one game with 16 rushing attempts, and the other one he had 8. So he's right at this number. I'm going to take the over. And last week I was on him to throw a pick at plus money, and I'm going to pick on him again. You can get him at plus 125 to throw an interception. So those are 2 I'm looking at for Trey Lance. And Deebo probably finds the end zone this week, and it's probably a rushing touchdown.
So Jeff Wilson and Rashard Penny for me. Penny at plus 200. I mean, he is the running game. Kenneth Walker might come back. I feel like I would doubt that very much, but we'll see what happens. And kind of a long shot.
He's very limited if he plays. Very
limited. A guy that I think played a lot more than people realize and ran a lot more routes than people realize is Juwan Jennings. I think he's probably going to be part of this offense. So yeah, that's a real deep dart throw, but at plus 320, a guy that could catch a touchdown here. That's a dart throw, but that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I'm a fan. What do we have for Trey Lance for a rushing touchdown? He's probably going to be too juiced. Plus 185 is not awful. It is when you think about quarterbacks, but this is a guy who is going to tuck and run. This is such a fear to take him because you don't know if it's going to go to Deebo. You don't know if it's going to go to Jeff Wilson or things like that. But I like Lance carries and to throw a pick and Seahawks cover. Okay, next. Continue to roll through these. Falcons and Rams. Bounce back performance from Los Angeles here. Or do you have concerns about their offensive line?
Yeah, I think they bounce back. I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to be scrappy this year. Mariota, wasn't great, but I think he was better than most people thought. And he's another guy that can run. Pitts is the real deal. London looked like the real deal.
He did.
Cordero Patterson made everybody talking about Travis Algier look like fools. I mean,
me. I was talking about Tyler a lot, but it takes some time.
Where you could get him, I think he was still a value.
Yeah.
And Damian Williams was way more figured in than I thought. I mean, he did get banged up, but he came back at the end of the game.
Looks like he's going to be back this week.
So, yeah, I mean, I would go Cordero Patterson to score here. And I also like Drake London at plus 285. He looked like the real deal, man. He's easily, I think, the number 1 wideout on this team.
Yeah, he did look really good. I think he had the best performance from a rookie. It's going to be a true test for him, for Jalen Ramsey. That's why I think Pitts may be interesting this week. Allen Robinson's got to show up, right? I mean, sometimes you hear the noise. It's not a squeaky wheel just right now. No. Plus 130 is interesting to me for Allen Robinson, maybe to find the back of the end zone or over 4.5, maybe not 4.5 grabs, but maybe 49.5 receiving yards. Kupp, we're not going to ever talk about Kupp. You can put him into that 3-leg parlay with like Taylor or Chubb or Saquon or something like that. Kupp is going to eat. He's going to do his thing. 92 receiving yards is his prop. He's going to clear that. He clears it on a weekly basis. There was one guy that I wanted to look here, and I didn't see it yesterday. I'm sure that it's going to be up right now. It's not great. Darrell Henderson at plus 105. It's tough to get involved with the Rams backfield with so much uncertainty, but I do believe he's still going to lead the backfield. I wouldn't be totally shocked if we saw a little bit from Cam Akers, a little bit more anyways. Yeah, Matt Stafford is hurt. Allen Robinson unders again against other zone schemes. Buffalo really doubled him. It was interesting the strategy that they took for Allen Robinson. There was a couple moments where he was completely wide open. Stafford didn't really look his way. But this is another one. I have a lean to Atlanta covering this game. What do you think? 10 points? With the offensive line and Stafford not healthy, I don't know, man. Like 10's a lot.
10's a lot. And I mean, McVay, they're mad, right? I mean, like there's no doubt that they're going to
go in and torch him.
They're going to want to. I mean, whether they can or not. The Robinson thing is like, look, I mean, if you take the last 2 years, he's failed us 90% of the time that we thought he was going to become something. And until he does something drastic, I'm not touching him. I'm just not touching him.
Yeah, Stafford will probably throw a pick. That's nothing new, though, right? He was second in the league in picks last year. He's not healthy. The offensive line is not great. Atlanta doesn't really dial up a lot of pressure. Their secondary is actually okay, but you can get Stafford at plus 100 to throw an interception. I think that could be on your card if you're looking for some stuff. Denver and Houston in here next, another big total game. We have the Broncos at minus 10. I don't have a lot to add in this game. I do like Javonte Williams over 20.5 receiving yards. He was really utilized out of the backfield. I don't expect him to be playing from behind in this game, but I also didn't expect him playing from behind in week 1 against Seattle. Nonetheless, I think he's probably good for 2 or 3 grabs in this game. And I mean, he's just so elusive that I think he can get over 20.5 receiving yards. I also like Cortland Sutton. You guys know I like Cortland Sutton. I've been talking about him all year. Yep. He had 2 deep targets. He was underthrown from Russell Wilson. But I like the over 54.5 receiving yards is another guy, just high ADOT from week 1. Air yards, he was right there, just getting a lot of looks. He's plus 155 over at Caesars to score a touchdown. That would be my guy. Maybe Albert O. We did see a couple red zone looks from him as well. What do you have from this game?
Yep, Sutton's for me, and a dart throw who showed up a bit, and I think will show up more as the weeks go. Collins for Texans.
Nico.
Yeah, Nico Collins. I really like him. Tall, good hands, going to be a good red zone guy. I get that Brandon Cooks is the number 1 there, but everyone knows that, and they're going to scheme and double and bracket Cooks, and that's going to leave Collins a little more wide open with one-on-one with a secondary corner or even in the slot. So I like him to score a touchdown this week.
Nice. It's hard for me to get away from Sutton, but Alberto is plus 245, and he did get a couple red zone looks, and he was stopped at the one-on-one play. And it's clear Russell Wilson is not just going to pepper Judy and Sutton. He's going to utilize some running backs and some tight ends and things like that. Daily Handle says he likes the Texans plus 10. Davis Mills can ball. Yeah, I think he's an underrated quarterback. I really do. I could see this game being close. I'm not sold on the Broncos blowing them out. It is low. Adam, over 20.5 receiving yards is low, heavily used last week. I don't think he's going to be as heavily used. As I mentioned, I don't think they're going to be playing from behind. There's a lot of, in that fourth quarter, a lot of catches, but I'm in on the over 20.5 receiving yards. Next game on the board, I believe, is the Raiders and the Arizona Cardinals. I think that Las Vegas is going to bounce back here at home. There's a lot of issues going on in Arizona. Kyler head coaching, offensive line. Lacking weapons in the offense right now. Injuries. I think, Devontae Adams scores a touchdown. It's pretty chalky. I'm in on the over in his receiving yards. I think it opened up at 88.5. It's climbing, guys, but I think he tops 100. He had 17 targets. He had 49% target share. That led everybody in week 1. I think Carr will eventually, spread it out to other guys like Renfro potentially, but I think Adams finds the end zone. I think Waller probably finds the end zone. I could see Jacobs scoring a rushing touchdown. I think the Raiders are going to get 3 or 4 touchdowns in this game. And the only guy I'm looking at on the other side, it's, we got it late, garbage time touchdown, but I think he's in play as well, is Hollywood Brown, maybe for a touchdown there. I expect the Cardinals to be playing from behind, but 5.5 for the Raiders to cover is one of my favorite picks on the board this week.
Yeah, I like Waller on the Raiders side, and I got a weird gut feeling about Rondell Moore, a guy that
could be a super
important part of this offense. I think there's no doubt that Marquise Brown is the number one here. That's where they want the ball to go. But what happens is they scheme for that, and they bracket him, and they double him, and they're going to watch him. And him being a smaller guy, that's easier for them to do. So yeah, I think Rondell Moore could be really sneaky, and I'm seeing him at plus 600. So I'm going to just throw a couple shillings that way and pray.
Yeah, Adams would be the guy that I'd put in with like Taylor and Cup. Those are guys like Chalky minus 125. So he's got Adams said he got Devontae Adams at over 7.5 receptions at plus 100 last night. It's minus 130. Yeah, he could have that in the first half. I think Carr will spread it out to other guys, but Adams is a guy that's just going to eat this year. We love him on this show. He might be wide receiver 1 overall. I wouldn't be shocked about that. Another game here, and then we'll say goodbye to Game Plus, and we will wrap up because there's only a couple more that we can get to here. Cincy and Dallas. I don't think Dallas is going to do a whole lot here. All right, no Dak Prescott. Offensive line is in shambles. Dak didn't look great. I know it was the Bucs, but Dak didn't look great before the injury. He couldn't hook up with CeeDee Lamb. I don't expect a lot of offense from Dallas's side of things. And you know what? Their defense is pretty good, that they could kind of hold Joe Burrow and company in check potentially, but I would say I would be taking shots on a first-time touchdown on somebody from Cincinnati, whether it's Jamar Chase, whether it's Joe Mixon. Heck, maybe Hayden Hurst is like a 0.25 unit on a first-time touchdown because I don't think Dallas is going to score a lot, and I think we'll see Cincy probably cover this game, but I could see it like a 24-14 game or something silly like that. You got anything? Are you going to take any shot on Dallas, guys?
I think Schultz would be the only guy that I would take a shot on. I mean, look at that. I mean, he's obviously an important part of this offense. Oftentimes you see when backups come in, they check down, and that usually goes to the tight end or the running back. So that's just that's a gut feel, and I like the odds. And Tyler Boyd on the Cincinnati side.
Yeah, especially if there's no T. Higgins, right?
That's the big thing. I like him regardless. But if there's no Higgins, I think definitely hammer Boyd.
Yeah, G-Dub's in the house. Rondell is unlikely. Yeah, we'll just keep an eye on him in practice reports. I mean, that's what we said. Arizona is just so depleted. There was something I saw earlier in the week that it looked like he was ready to go, but I haven't seen anything as of today, so appreciate that, G-Dub. And he's a guy that when I envision him and he's healthy, he's probably a guy that I think is, PPR leagues like 6 catches for 44. He's not going to blow the top off defenses, but when they're inside the red zone, I think he certainly can be a player for Kyler, but we'll keep an eye on him all the more to really like Vegas, right? And these guys to rack up some points, maybe run the clock out with Jacobs and just Hollywood Brown, right? Hollywood or Wentz for one of those guys. But I was just trying to see Hayden Hurst's first touchdown. Like, this is a bit of a dart throw. I could see something here. I could even see him finding a touchdown. We got 3 touchdowns. Whoa, baby. Plus 280. It's not as nice as I thought. First touchdown, you can get 12-1 over at FanDuel. He was involved. He played 75 snaps. He ran 52 routes, which was second on the Bengals squad. He had 7 targets. And if there's no if there's no T. Higgins, right, this is another guy that's probably going to be involved. So Dallas is in shambles. We're going to say goodbye to Game Plus for now. If you wanted to come over and watch the final couple minutes, hop on over to our FTN Network YouTube page. You can always reach out at the Eric Young, at Chris Meaney. We're going to recap some of our favorite plays here and touchdown calls as well. So appreciate you guys hanging out. Enjoy the football on Sunday, and we'll be back on Tuesday. All right, EY, let's just wrap up here with the last couple games and finish up here strong. We have 3 more to talk about. Bears and Packers. Packers are 10-point favorites. This is another one. Like, I don't know if I can get behind any of these large spreads besides maybe the Bills against your Titans, but didn't see a whole lot that I liked from Green Bay. I did see a deep threat or a deep target to Christian Watson. Watson ran more routes than Dubs, just as many as Sammy Watkins, who is a fossil at this point of his career. And I think I'd be willing to take a shot on Christian Watson because they want to use this guy. He had a carry. I mentioned he had just 1 fewer target than Dubs, but he ran more routes. He played more snaps. Really like A.J. Dillon as well. Loved the usage from him in week 1. He was getting more carries than Aaron Jones. He was used in the passing game. He had multiple goal line carries, one which he converted for a touchdown. The other one was like a shotgun from the 2, and he just got stuffed at the line. But A.J. Dillon's a guy that I think he could score 2 touchdowns in this game, and I'd be like doing like a 0.25 unit on that second touchdown. Anything you like?
Yeah, I like both Tunyon and Komet. I think last week.
Ooh, Komet, baby.
Look, I get. You said like we're off of him because of the 0. Like last week,
I'm
it
not
was
off.
pouring rain.
Yeah.
The wind was blowing like crazy. Soldier Field was insane looking. It looked like a ton of fun to play in, but not for fantasy, not for offense, not for
No.
throwing the ball, not for doing much of anything. So I think just one because of I'm seeing him at plus 340. I know Mooney's the guy there, but Komet, I mean, the drumbeat out of camp was he's all over the field. He doesn't come off. He's catching everything. He's basically Justin Fields' security blanket, and he's a massive dude. And in the red zone, I think they go for him and they scheme up a bunch of plays to get the ball in his hands.
He didn't get on the field in any 21 personnel, which is like run scheme. But like you said, I mean, that game was it was awful. The weather was brutal. They had to throw a little bit. If, Vegas is saying Green Bay is going to win this game, or they have them as 10-point favorites here. So maybe a little bit more checking for Justin Fields. And if you look at Cole Kmet over the past couple of years, I mean, this is his third year in the NFL. Last year's first few games started very similar. Nothing, like one catch. And then he came on towards the end of the season. AJ Dillon is 8-1 for 2 touchdowns. He's plus 140 for 1 touchdown. Khalil Herbert, I guess we can toss him out. I mean, 7-1 to score a touchdown. Dave Montgomery got a lot of work, right? He wasn't efficient. He didn't get any goal line carries, and Khalil Herbert got 3. And when the game was on the line, it was Khalil Herbert who was running the ball inside the 10 and found a way to score a touchdown. So that might be a decent. Caesar's got it at 410, FanDuel 650. DK's got Khalil Herbert for a touchdown at plus 700. 2 touchdowns is 75-1. Let's get real nuts. But 7-1 for Khalil Herbert. I feel like he's your guy.
Oh, I love this guy. I've got him on almost every team, which I have a lot of teams. So that's saying something.
75 shares of Khalil Herbert.
I mean, the reality is it's the same thing as New England, I believe. Like, look, I like that people like David Montgomery. The teammates love him. He's a leader. He plays hard. He runs hard. He tries hard. And the truth is Khalil Herbert is a better running back and a better athlete than David Montgomery. And over time, the Chicago Bears are a business, and they want to win football games, and that's how you make money. And Khalil Herbert is going to touch the ball more and carry the ball more than David Montgomery at some point. I believe this is Montgomery's backfield. I believe he will start. I believe he will have the first carry. But we learned, I think, almost everything we need to know in the first week. When it come down to scoring and it come down to important running plays, Khalil Herbert was the back that was on the field and not David Montgomery.
Exactly. It's pretty telling, I think,
Yep.
for like there was offseason reports about Montgomery not fitting the zone scheme. Herbert was great last year. He's better suited, I think, for this offense. He's more explosive. He's got that nice first cut, and very telling to me week 1 that Herbert was the guy inside the red zone getting those touches and those carries. I'm not seeing anything on Watson, guys. Do you guys see anything on Christian Watson? I'd like a little sprinkle on him. Rodgers is going to go back to him. We'll see about Lazard.
Plus 295 on DK.
For Watson?
To score, yeah.
Okay. I kind of like it. I wondered, the reason I couldn't find it is because Lazard could return this week, but I think Rodgers is going to throw another deep ball at Christian Watson. He's going to give him another chance, right?
Yeah.
His route running is not, he's a rookie, right? It's not polished, but he's got some speed to him for a big body. All right, I think we only got 2 more games here. What do we got? So, okay, the Monday night games. There's 2 on Monday night, Titans and Bills, and then Vikings and Eagles. I think we could go a lot of ways with that Vikings and Eagles game. I think that's one that we'll see the over 50 points. I think we can see both teams score like 3 or 4 touchdowns in that one. But Titans and Bills, your Titans have actually had Buffalo's number over the past couple of years, but those games have been played in Tennessee. This is the Bills' home opener. They've had definite issues stopping Derrick Henry in the rushing attack as well. Is there something you like, from the Tennessee side of things, or is this just a Buffalo and a rout?
I mean, Buffalo is terrifying, right? I think most teams in the NFL are going to struggle to beat them. I think Tennessee will struggle to beat them. Can they beat them? Of course. I mean, Tannehill is a scrappy player. Derrick Henry is still one of the best running backs in the league. If they get him rolling and he touches the ball 20, 25 times, they can win this game. The problem is if they get behind and they abandon that and Hilliard's on the field and they're asking Tannehill to throw the ball 30 times, it's problematic. What I'll say about the first week with the Tennessee Titans is Robert Woods does not look like a number one receiver that people were hoping, me included, was hoping for. Treylon Burks looked pretty good, and Kyle Phillips is a baller.
Yeah,
We talked about him.
Yeah,
we brought him up. I mean, someone that fits what Tannehill wants to do. He runs really smooth, precise routes. He's open on most plays, and he's not like a typical slot guy where he's 5'10". He's tall, and someone like that with paired with Tannehill and that play action game. I think Kyle Phillips is going to figure in a lot. I think if you picked him, tried to get him in a dynasty league, or you got him late in drafts, I think he's going to pay off most of the year. And I think it's just a matter of time before Treylon Burks is the number one, if he's not already the number one.
I agree. So Woods was out there a lot more than anyone running routes, but he's just not a true X receiver. I don't think he can handle top coverage. So once you see guys like Treylon Burks step up and Phillips start, they're just rookies, their first NFL game, I think then we'll see potential top corners pay more attention to those kids. And then that's when we see Woods, maybe be okay, but he's not a big touchdown guy. He's not going to stretch the field. He's like a PPR guy. So if you're taking shots on anyone on Tennessee, I agree. It would be those two guys. Phillips played 31 snaps and he ran 21 routes. He had a team high 9 targets. To put that into perspective, that's 5 fewer routes than Woods, and Woods played 15 more snaps. Burks played 13 more snaps and only ran 1 more route. So that was Nick Westbrook-Akini, who had 1 more route and played 13 more snaps. So Burks and Phillips, when they were out there in a limited role, they were out there with a purpose, and they were certainly running routes. But I think that they'll be in trouble. Daily Handle says he likes the Titans plus 10. It is a lot of points, but I like the Bills defense here. I think they can create a turnover or 2 on Ryan Tannehill. I think Tannehill will throw a pick or 2 in this game. Bills D is different, yes. And now with the rest, yeah, I like them a lot here. You could tease them down to 3. There's a lot of those 10 points. I would do that with those 10-point favorites. Tease down the Broncos to 3. Tease the Packers to win by a field goal, the Bills to win by a field goal. It's like a 7-point teaser, with those 3 teams in there. I think that they all find a way to win. You can include the Rams in there if you wanted as well. But Daily Handle's going the other way. He likes Titans plus 17, Bills 3 over total in there. Yeah, either way, whatever way you want to go. I think I feel more comfortable with the Bills 3. Gabe Davis, right? I think there's only a matter of time before this guy's minus a favorite to score touchdowns. We're getting him at plus 195 over at FanDuel to score a touchdown. All he's done over the past little bit is score touchdowns, right? He opened up the season with a touchdown. He finished last year with 4 touchdowns. He has the trust of Josh Allen. So that's a guy that I'd be looking at to score a touchdown. And I don't know if we want to do Hilliard. I don't think we want to fall into that trap, but the Titans they'll have to throw the football in this game. The final one, and we'll get out of here. Vikings and the Eagles.
It's going to be a doozy.
It should be pretty good. I liked what I saw week 1 from Kevin O'Connell and the new look Minnesota Vikings offense. Justin Jefferson was an absolute beast. Adam Thielen was quiet. But they didn't have to do a whole lot there against Green Bay. And the Eagles defense looked absolutely atrocious against Detroit. So I expect Jefferson to get whatever the heck he wants in this game. I think Thielen is a sneaky little touchdown call. The Eagles struggled last year to cover tight ends. I think that will be a little bit better this year for their defense with the personnel that they have. But I think, people are off of Irv Smith. When he was on the field, he was getting more targets. Keep in mind, he wasn't with the team through training camp with the thumb injury, so he could get a little bit more run, but there's a lot of different ways to go in this game, man. You got a favorite outside of Jefferson? Because we know that this guy's going to ball out.
Yeah, I got Jefferson wrote down. The odds aren't crazy, but that's another guy I think he seems almost automatic at this point. And Kenneth Gainwell, he's going to get his chances. And I like I think I saw him at plus 260 to score a touchdown. So I like that. And I think that from what we've seen over the last few games of last year, and this is they trust running him between the tackles. So.
Yeah, they do. 4 rushing touchdowns last week from Philly from 4 different guys.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, Boston Scott, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell. Yeah, I think Jefferson scores. I'd like Adam Thielen at plus 170. It's tough to get involved with really any of these wide receivers. I agree. This is Boston Scott anytime TD. I guess that is a long shot. I think he only really got the play because the game was starting to get out of hand, even though Detroit came back late. I think that, this is one of my favorite totals. The over, I think, it hits on both sides. I don't believe we have anything from anybody else, like catch props or anything like that, with it being the Monday game or coming at you on Friday. Jefferson's actually plus money for a touchdown, plus 110. Enjoy it now while you can, because it won't last too long. He's plus 700 for 2 touchdowns. It's hard not to get involved with A.J. Brown. He had 76% of the Eagles' air yards, which was by far number one in the NFL for week 1. He had double-digit targets. He just got all the looks. It didn't look like Hurts had any interest throwing the football to anybody else. So I think that will continue until you start to see maybe doubles, and then we'll see Devontae maybe get involved. Jalen Hurts, rushing touchdown?
Could happen.
It's probably plus 130 is not fantastic. We don't have any rushing yard props on him, but he had 50 guys in the first quarter. Dalton Cook. Dalvin, he should cook this week. The puns are terrible. I saw what you were doing there. I like it. I'm a fan. Okay, we're out of here, I think, unless you want to recap.
Oh, God. I mean, we could
just do maybe 1 or 2. That's a little 1 or 2 recap that you got there.
Well, to me, if Rondell Moore plays, I read earlier that he was likely to play, but maybe that's changed and now he's likely not to play. I think if he plays and he's healthy, I think that he's a good bet. I like Mo Alley Cox. I like Claypool. I like Shark.
I like
Schultz. I like Nico Collins. Kenneth Gainwell. Those would be my more sure ones. I put all these in, a couple dollars here and there, a couple big ones, and we'll see what happens. I'm a sucker for punishment, Chris. You know that.
I love it. I love a couple of those calls, especially that Chark one. Yeah, it looks like Rondell is going to be out, but we have a lot in our FTN bet tracker, guys. FTNbets.com. Use a promo code FTN20. Save yourself 20%. You're going to get all the picks from everybody across all sports, projections, tools, Discord. A lot of people are off to a hot start. I want to give a shout out to the NFL Betting Show, which will be on Game Plus Network on Sunday morning. So catch that with myself, Mike Randall, and Taylor Mathis, and we will try to call some picks for you guys there. I think just for me on the way out, I like the over in that Eagles game. I like the over in the Washington game. I like the under in the Jets and Cleveland game. I like the under in the New England and Pittsburgh game. I like Seattle to cover. I like the Bills to cover since he covers. And that's kind of it. I think Indy as well on the spreads. I like that 3.5 or whatever you can get. Christian Kirk yards. I got AJ Dillon for a touchdown, a little sprinkle on 2 touchdowns. Might take a shot on Watson. I like Sutton yards and a touchdown. Albert O for a touchdown, a little sprinkle there. Maybe Christian Kirk, DJ Chark. That's pretty much it. Adam Thielen in there as well, but you could do a chalky one if you wanted. The chalky one would be for me. You get Taylor in there. You get Kupp. You get Jefferson in there. Javonte Williams receiving yards. Jamar Chase is probably going to burn Diggs like he did in college. That's a matchup I'm really looking forward to as well. And Gabe Davis. We could talk all day. Of course, we know that. But we got to get out of here. At the Eric Young, myself, Chris Meaney. Thanks, guys, for taking the time to hang out. Smash the like button if you could do us a solid. And we'll see you on Tuesday. Enjoy the football. Cheers.